welcome to the Shannon Montana YouTube channel. So today we are back for another amazing episode of the series Healing is a Journey. And I have the honor and pleasure of having one of my most favorite people in the world here with me today. You all have heard her voice on the To Be Single or Not To Be podcast so many times. She is definitely a resident of the show. And I'm just super excited about having her here today to talk about what we're about to get into, having the visuals, because it's just been the voice. Yes. So this is the face behind the voice, the beautiful face. And I just get into it. So one, Mika, if you could tell the people who you are, and then also tell the people a little bit about being that you are a therapist, but also I know you are in therapy. Mm-hmm. And I like for our guests to tell the listeners a little bit about what prompted them to want to start their own, say, healing journey or get into therapy. Like, was it something that happened in life, or you just got to a space in life? Like, what kind of caused that?
Okay, so I am Shamika Tumblin, aka Positively Meek on the interstreets.
We'll make sure we put that down below.
Yes. So I am currently on my licensure journey. Almost done. Thank Jesus.
Yes, amen.
So I'm a marriage and family therapist. And ironically, what prompted me to get into therapy, I was in my program and was going through some relationship changes. At the time, they were positive. And that's what prompted me, though, because I realized to move to the next level in a relationship, I had some things that I wanted to do differently, and I needed to speak with someone or process with someone that was not a family member around what I wanted my family to look like.
Ooh.
So as the years have gone on, I heard you mention, like, we got to date around, and I definitely tell my clients that I've had several therapists. So this most recent journey that I'm in, and my therapist, y'all,
the bomb.
I will share. I will share because I'm in there, so I ain't got to worry about if all y'all like book her up. She ain't gonna be available no more. But that's the homie. Yeah. That is the homie. And I know, like, professionally we not homies, but like when I say I have grown with her,
it's nothing like a good therapist.
What? You be sitting there talking and your therapist say something to you, you be like, dang, I did that, huh?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay. I respect that. So this most recent time, the journey was really about me, the relationship with myself, and understanding that I wanted to get more coping tools, and then also being a therapist and the holder of so many things for other people. Not going to therapy to talk about my clients, but going to therapy to notice how I am being impacted in spaces, because when I'm in a room with someone, that's their moment. It's never about me healing. So having a space where I can do that, so it stays out of other people's stuff. What brought me back was a checkup. And I know Crystal, if you guys haven't checked out episode 1, go check it out. Crystal mentioned the car, and that's my thing too, like making sure you are getting your car checked up. And I was to the space, in all honesty, when you keep going and you think things good, the check engine light don't come on and different things, you're like, oh, I'm good. But what damage are you doing to the engine or the transmission when you wait till all those lights come on instead of checking up before it happens? So Shamika, me, myself, and I
had a checkup.
Had a checkup, and I'm still there because things have come up, and it's been a true pleasure, y'all. Like, I really got to say that even in the times that have been hard, to know I don't have to take a moment and be like, hey, I need to go necessarily heal in terms of I need to stop, go heal, but be like, oh no, I'm healing because I'm like, as this stuff is happening, I'm being able to do the checkups like in real time.
Actively.
So it's a whole new space. It's like being in the candy store, but actually having money in your pocket. Like, we ain't window shopping.
When you got the book
here.
fair at school and you got some money to buy the books and stuff you want.
So that is the phase of life and therapy that I'm on right now. And I promise I'm not trying to like sell y'all on therapy because I'm a therapist. Like,
if they listening to this right now, they need to be sold on therapy.
I'm really loving being in therapy as much as I'm loving being a part of somebody else's healing journey as well.
Isn't that beautiful? And this leads me, before we even get into the topic, I'm going to touch on, of course, we were having a conversation offline, just kind of catching up and things of that nature. And we talked a little bit about, the space that you are in with your healing journey. But something that really resonated with me that Mika said earlier was like being healed enough to know that if you are in relationship with somebody, to tell them like, it's not saying you're a bad person, but I just can't be here no more. And knowing I'm healed enough to move on. And also the notion that people sometimes think that if you move on from a relationship and start dating somebody else really quickly, it's like a terrible thing. Like you're always using that person as a rebound or to get back at the other person. And mind you, can sometimes have a negative reason why you're doing it. But when you are in a healed space or healing space, because healing is a journey, and you understand, okay, I didn't have to go get therapy after that breakup because I was already actively in it and I'm presently doing the work. So I broke up with this person, and then I bumped into, Jesse Williams a week later.
Come on, Yaya.
And and I bumped into him a week later, and we started dating. So, and the world is looking at me like, how you move on so fast? Because guess what? I was able to move on and let that relationship go and understand that's what it was. Yeah. I'm good. I was healed enough anyway in the first place to move on. And I'm healed enough to know that this is not a rebound, that this is a situation that I want to go explore, because who knows if it's going to turn to a relationship.
That part.
But I'm healed enough to know that I can explore this and not be doing it as like a cover-up of what I was, dealing with in the past. And what would you say helped? Was it just like the therapy, or what self-work, like what really helped you to get to that place? Because that's amazing. And I don't think that a lot of people may acknowledge that or give it enough credit to be able to do that in the right space.
So I was telling Shayna, first of all, if y'all have been following the podcast for a while, this last couple of episodes, I really am in a space of like single and happy. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, I want to date, but it means something different. It's not so much about finding this person is supposed to fill in this hole as much as it is about finding someone to share this joy with. And if I'm not joyful with you, I can't share my joy with you. So, first of all, the accountability of that and recognizing like, oh, I'm in a space and like, okay, it's cute to say you got a boo, but also though, am I happy? Yeah. And I know a lot of people like, how do you figure that out in like a couple of weeks or a couple of months in this case? And y'all know how time works, so couple, take that for whatever couple is feeling. This idea that, okay, what are the feelings that are coming up that I already know are flags and not ignoring them? So like, ooh, am I starting to doubt myself, or am I questioning myself when I want to do something? Like, how does this person feel about it? But not in a way of, I need to keep them involved.
Yeah, like a self-check.
Hey, hold on, because if I do that, that's going to cause a problem, or we're going to have to go back and talk about it because they may feel like I'm making a move without them.
Not a healthy post-check.
Culturally independent. Like, whoa, we ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
But, so, yes, being in therapy, because there's conversations we have with friends. Shout out to all my friends, including
Shout out to the friends.
You tell them things, but there are certain things though when you tell your therapist or you tell the person that you're doing work with, they bring up old stuff, but it's not in a way your friends might bring it up and be like, "Girl, remember so and so," and you hear it and you like, "Man, now I gotta like defend the one I'm with because I need to make sure they know."
Because it's giving them memories of the old stuff I did. Yeah.
But they bring it up not in terms of what a person did in the past, but what you did in the past. Yeah. So it's about, okay, so you're telling me you're feeling this. How is it different now than when you felt it before?
Yeah.
Or having conversations and them being able to say, oh, no, I can see how that's problematic.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then it's reassurance. Like, okay, I'm not tripping on this person.
Yeah.
This really is a problematic feeling. So, yes, being in therapy helped that because I was able to, one, know I wasn't, like, tripping.
Yeah.
Also be reminded that where I was headed was healthy for me.
Right.
Which was also, like I said, that final connected when it came to the situation that we talking about of like, you're a really good person, but where you are right now requires me to have to take a few steps backwards, and I'm being real selfish with my healing and my love right now, and I don't want to go backwards when I've made so much progress to actually be able to keep moving. For it. Yes, like my momentum is I'm on a train. It ain't too fast. It's real steady with great views.
Yeah.
And I know the views that I left.
Yeah.
Right now, I can look at them and they're great. But when I was there, they weren't. And I'm not fixing to turn the train around. First of all, I'm using train on purpose. Because, y'all, if you know, you can't even turn the train around. You got to hit it in reverse. And we ain't traveling backwards.
No reverse.
So, I'm not in a space right now to hit that train in reverse. Yeah. Go hook up to somebody else and carry them.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be with somebody right now.
I don't need a caboose.
You're carrying yourself. I'm carrying myself. Because I know where you are now. You're going to grow.
Yeah.
But the thing is, being able to acknowledge if I'm in a space right now that you gotta grow to meet me here. Ooh. And will it keep me in the space I'm in while waiting? Yeah. Because where I am now is not my final destination.
Yeah, I'm still moving. So it's like, do I want to just be here in the waiting room like when you waiting to get in the Zoom call is what I think about. So do I want to just be sitting here waiting on deck for you to catch up? Hopefully you will catch up. Don't know when you're going to catch up, how long it's going to take you to catch up and hinder my healing, my growth, all that. It's like, no. This train, I love that comparison, that or that analogy, whatever the proper English term is. I love that you have to keep flowing and moving forward. We cannot stop when you are on the right journey, when you're in the right mindset, at the right place, stage, and age. And that's one of the goals I have with this whole series is for us to get on that same train and move forward. Because honestly, I wouldn't say 5 years from now, if I had been in a situation similar to yours, that I would have the wherewithal to have a real conversation with a person. And a friend told me that with something I went through recently, I would say in the past year. And it's to your point again, you talked about friends being able to just have real conversations with us. She was like, when are you going to do something different? Because when it comes to relationships ending, she was like, a lot of times, you might just let it fizzle out. You might let them do the ending. She was like, when are you going to take the reins and end something and move on with your life? And I'm like, you right. You're right.
It's so funny you even mentioned that because something you said in episode 2 around identity. Yeah. And you mentioned it in episode 1 too. And that was part of the conversation I had with this person was, like, first off, because one of the questions, they had me like, okay, this gonna be a real nice like thing we have to see how it grow, because they were asking me questions like, are you sure your like last relationship isn't going to impact this one? You've been single a while. Are you sure? Like the right questions. Yeah. Like, and you mentioned these guys like got the playlist. Like he had the questions.
Yeah.
And the idea though of at what point can I nip it in the bud early of recognizing when I feel like I'm having to shut down me to carry
or any part of me.
Yes, to carry you. And when I say carry you, y'all, I don't mean like this person is like wounded and you're carrying them, but the fact of like when you shut down a piece of you to literally be able to hold that person, and that really is hold them in love. And once again, none of this stuff sounds bad. It's just when you have to put it into perspective with everything else on your plate, you have to know who you are as a person. Like a lot of times you hear that phrase like, I love hard, so I have to be careful. And some people be like, man, what does that even mean? But that perspective of I love hard in terms of I love you so much how you need to be loved because I want that in return. Yeah. But when do I have to recognize by me loving you the way you need to be loved, it's not allowing you to learn how I need to be loved. Because I'm giving you and mirroring to you what you need.
As I always say, we talked about that on the episode about freedom. At this point, with us filming this today, it hasn't come out yet. It's coming. You all go back to the episode on freedom. It'll be out by now.
And I ain't seen it either.
Yeah, so this goes back to being true to who you are and understanding that you have to feel free enough to be who you are in a relationship. Because if you don't know your identity, you are not self-aware. You are not really tuned in, like Crystal said, 11 toes down on who you are. You will show up in spaces and love people harder than you love yourself, or go harder for them and do all this stuff, or be in situations, to your point earlier, that if I'm about to do a certain behavior or action, I'm not self-checking to say like, is this something that my partner would do? Like I'm looking at it from that angle. Like I only want to do things that I would want done to me that are fair versus I want to do this and it really ain't nothing wrong with it, but I know they're going to complain if I stay out to this time or whatever the example may be. It's a healthy and an unhealthy self-check. And when you're with somebody that it turns into like the unhealthy self-checks, then you like, yeah, no, I gotta exit stage left.
And I'm setting up boundaries too. Like that's the other thing about therapy. I know that's a strong B word, but boundaries in terms of I'm trying to create life balance, and I really am not trying to do overtime in jobs I don't get paid for.
Woo!
So my relationship cannot be a form of overtime, and I do not want to be a therapist in my relationship. Yeah. So when people be like, "Oh, they therapize me," whatever. I don't need to be. I'm healing. And in my healing, I'm gaining vocabulary. I'm learning words just like I teach my clients. Yeah. Somebody is teaching me. So I don't need to be in a space where when I do that, it's like being at Thanksgiving with family members who are like, oh, you think you better than us, etc.
Oh, Lord. Or somebody who want to go toe for toe. I feel like I'm sitting here thinking about on my Patreon. I keep saying I'm going to put a Patreon up. I am. But a conversation, I'm sitting as you're saying that, and you talk about expanding vocabulary and things, how you're just learning and growing. And I'm thinking about sometimes when you have to deal with people that you are doing the work, you're doing the growth, but either one, they are like, oh, you think you're better than me, or they want to act like, oh, you ain't the only person getting healed. You know, I'm getting healing too, and I can show you up on that. When I'm like, I know damn well you ain't in nobody's therapy. You ain't doing no kind of self work. But it's like you in a tit for tat situation, and I hate tit for tat situations. So that's the other side of it. Like, and it really just came to mind. I'm gonna have to go and I gotta get that Patreon, y'all, because I'm make y'all have to pay. I don't care if it's $2. Y'all have to pay to cross that wall for me to go for me to tell more of my business. But because I know people like that. I feel like if I'm talking to you, and I feel like I want to be sure that if we're together, we're on the same healing journey, that you're doing the same kind of work. And I can't, but the thing is, I can't be assured, because people can go to therapy every day and get nothing from it if they don't want to. So I'm not in your mind or your body. My only hope is that if you are in therapy and doing the work that I'm doing, that you will grow and change and evolve the same way I am. That's my hope. If it doesn't happen, that's just what it is. But at the same time, I just know I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that is over there like fake healing. I think that's where I'm going. Like, don't be fake healing.
So, final point, because I know you probably like,
I was like, we done had a whole episode. I might have to put this on a separate part. Yeah.
So the other piece of that is we talk about knowing those things that are helping you to move forward. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really talking from both perspectives, Shamika now and like Shamika the therapist, because it's unique when you have a job that's in a life stage that you're in.
You know, that's a song. Unique. I'm carry on. We listen to Renaissance too much, okay?
Look, Beyonce, go ahead and send my girl a box.
Okay, look. One day it's coming.
So, in the sense that your job doesn't take over your life, but you are constantly being reminded of accountability. No. Because you're like, hold on, how am I be telling these people this what they supposed to do? Child. I ain't doing it too. Like, ooh.
I said, I've been preaching on the podcast for 4 seasons now. And I feel like towards the end of 4th season, I start to get it. But now when I come back, baby, when season 5 come back, y'all be like, whole brand new bitch.
Hey.
Bussin'.
Hey. But even to that point, we having podcast conversations, you out with your girlfriends or you out with the crew and y'all talk about things, and right now it really is the culture of everything. Everybody might have a camera turn into a podcast.
Wow, you right.
My check for moving forward, because as we talked about before, I know where I
am. Yeah.
So I'm happily single, which means in case future bae see this. In my relationships, when I ask you a question about you, I really need to know you. People are really big. And when I say people, I mean, I've been having a lot of like just really intimate conversations with people, and not even romantic, but intimate. And people can't answer statements in I statements. I ask you a question and it's, well, you know, women usually and men usually. We're having a conversation
about
and
you.
I'm here with you, and I'm trying to learn to get to know you. You telling me about the population as a whole ain't helping me, because I'm not dating men.
I'm not dating.
I'm not trying to get to know
the universe.
I'm trying to get to know you in this space.
Yeah.
So I think that's for me, one of those moments where I've started to learn where and
you gotta pay attention to that.
Yeah, this is great for us to be able to have conversation. If I want statistics to put in the paper or something, but we're not gonna be able
I'm asking, what do you think about this? And that's why even on the show I try to catch myself when I'll say, well, women or most women, and I go, I do this, and that's why I'm having this series, because I'm talking about all of my shit and the things that I have been through and things I know from my experiences and things I know for certain. And that is why everything just, this dialogue we've had right here, I'm speaking from, and I know you're speaking from direct experience of self. I'm not talking about nothing I saw on social media, nothing you did. It's about what I went through and what I've experienced directly and what I know has worked in my healing and where I'm going. So that's that. And we are going to pause because we can go on and on for days.
Okay.
And go into the show. I know we just gave y'all a bit of a pre-show, but we are going to get to today's topic, which I'm super excited about, because in the episodes that are leading up to this one, we've talked a lot about, just healing and how it relates to self, how it relates to relationships with others, and how, honestly, I asked two of my good girlfriends this morning, my good sister cats, I was like, do you all think, honestly, when people go into choosing partners in relationships, that and I gave like the pillars that we're going to get into. I talked about, I said, when it comes down to, spirituality, emotional, mental, physical, occupational, I gave all of them. Okay. I said, do you all think we do a good enough job with being specific enough? And both of them, like in rhythm, was like, hell no, like. And so that is why I knew it was a requirement for me to have this conversation with the public. Because I feel like a huge part in why we have so many amazing women that are single, or that, are thinking about leaving a relationship is because we need to do, I won't say we do a bad job, but we can do a better job with being more specific about what we want before we sign up for the partnership. And when we start to get a potential partner, before we get there, when you are more specific and you're more clear, you're probably gonna do a better job at understanding and knowing, like, yeah, this is a good catch, or no, I gotta stay away from that nigga. So yeah. That's something I think we have these like baseline things we think about. Do they have a good shot? And y'all, we gonna get deep into these specifics in just a moment, but we think about do they have a car? Do they have a house? Do they have a job? Do they have a little bit of money? And did they treat me good once upon a time? And then we like, okay, I'm gonna sign up to do life with this fool. And that's it. And we ain't went no deeper. Then we into the thick of it. We into the thick of it. And we going tonight into the thick of it. And then we wonder, like, why am I being treated like shit? Cause bitch, you ain't, like, you did not do the pre-work. You did not do enough of the pre-work to really know if that was a good potential partner. Mind you, some people are just sociopaths or terrible people, and they can hide it for a little while. And you may have done the pre-work and you just happen to get somebody that's like, I did the work, Shayna, and you just ended up with a fool. Sometimes that do happen. Yeah. But more times than not, in my experience, and a lot of the experiences I know of friends, family, cats and dogs, babies and fools, a lot of times we did not do that.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
For the people. It's for y'all. Clarification for y'all. Now, if I've been rolling with the podcast crew for a minute, how is what you're saying about specification and not being bamboozled different than, or is it the same as knowing what the period is, or did this person give me their representative?
So the thing is, according to Star Jones on Divorce Court, and by now y'all better know that's my favorite show.
Okay, Star.
She said that people show their representative, I want to say, she might have said like 6 to 9 months if I'm not mistaken. I read somewhere online, people said it can last up to like 18 months. Sometimes it lasts forever if you're dealing with a real narcissist.
I mean, if they know how to do what they do, then
so my thing is this. If you have done your pre-work and you kind of get bamboozled because somebody might have shown up as their representative for a longer period than would be normal. Because I think it's natural when you first show up, it's like the first day at work or the first day in a new environment. You are going to be on your best behavior. That's all of us. I'm not going to put my bonnet on the first date. I'm going to wait till months in. You know what I'm saying? So to some extent, you show up, everybody shows up as their best self.
Yeah.
And then you start to get more relaxed. So it's like when you feel like you will have started to get into that relaxed environment, and it's going to be different for different people, that's when you can tell, like, either this is who this person is and I got tricked, or this is who this person is and I'm okay with it, or this is who this person is and it was my fault because I kind of did see these signs before.
So when we talk about standards today, or being specific, scratch standards.
Okay.
Because we shouldn't have expectations and standards necessarily when dating. I could go into that a little more if we need to. But when we're talking about specifics today, we're going into depth for the public so that they know, even if you have a representative, hopefully you can still be making wise decisions and noticing real flags.
Exactly it.
Okay.
Exactly it. But also, we're going to go into down the road of giving people things that they should be thinking about that a lot of times I feel like we don't think about. And it's like now that I've had to go back to the drawing board and figure out what I want my relationship life to look like, it's like, oh, yeah, this list may now be like 80 pages long. And I'm not saying it's a whole bunch of crazy and wild stuff, but when you are in a single season or space or whatever you want to call it, it just gives you time to process and think about, like, these are all like the things that I got wrong or the things I never thought about. And now that I went through these experiences, it's like, I should have asked more questions, or I should have thought about that more, or that was important to me and I minimized it. So it's like pulling from all the things that I've experienced that I feel like did not work for me. were not as productive. Some from their end, some from mine, just to not doing my own homework or enough of it.
Okay.
Get into the space now to know that we gotta just dig a little bit deeper with how we choosing out here, because we like I said before, we be giving great value. We real basic, real generic. We don't be thinking past the nigga fine. Like, okay, he look good, but it's like nothing there. And then we surprised that, you know, you work in corporate America. Every time we go to one of these dinner parties, he never has any conversation. This nigga ain't really said more than 2 words since the first week you met him. Why'd you think he was gonna act like President Obama?
Because if he looked like Obama to me, he should look like Obama to everybody else.
He looked like Klay Thompson.
So if he making me melt, then, you know, but that's even problematic. Because then you like, oh, but he making, you know, he making everybody
that's the
else
problem.
melt. So
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, if I'm with Jesse Williams and he deaf mute, no, I'm gonna have to scratch that. If I'm with Jesse Williams and as fine as he is, I find that he's this super introvert. He doesn't like to talk.
Yeah.
We out. And you like, man, you know, he kind of weird, awkward. He was like that from the beginning.
That's me.
Yeah, but I'm like,
but those are y'all that really
so
know
yeah,
me.
but for me, it's like I want somebody that has an extroverted side to them. So it's like that's another part, you know, thinking about that. We may think again, he looks good. He just kind of quiet. Is he really kind of quiet, or is he really introverted and hates people? Did we think far enough into that, you know? Or did we get with somebody that we feel like, oh, I like that they're extroverted, they like to go out. Okay, you see that. You see when you met them, they went out a lot. But you realize that as you're getting older, you don't like to go out as much. You may be an extrovert, but you don't like to go out as much. But you got somebody that's what they do. They out 4 or 5 days a week.
So I'm also hearing from what you're saying that something that we need to be specific about is environment.
All of that. That's what we gonna get into. That's the thing. We take something and we say, oh, it's cool, but it really ain't cool.
That part.
And so the thing, like even with the extrovert, you know, we both like to go out, and then you find that you meet them out, and that's what they do, but you only go out like maybe once a month. For I say we in a lounge or club or something. If I'm in a club, y'all, it's an emergency. You ain't finna find me no club. But you out, and this is something that they do all the time, but you don't do it as much. You like, it's cool, I like that they go out a little bit, but then you get in a relationship with them and you mad that they out. That's what they do. Yeah. So this goes back to also, you know, they say you go out, you gotta be outside to meet people. And I've heard people say this before, and it makes sense. Go do things that you like doing in those environments and try to meet people there. Like women who like marry men that are obsessed with, say, college football, and they mad that every Saturday is college football Saturday.
Yeah,
that's what they do. That's what they do. Why you mad? You know, so things that we see that you may say, oh, it's a little bitty thing, but that little bitty thing in 10 years gonna be a big old thing.
So also, if I may, what I'm hearing you say too is we're at this stage in life where we really have to reevaluate if opposites truly do attract.
They damn sure don't. Go listen to this on the podcast. I don't know what episode. Opposites do not attract. Opposites may be a good time for a little while. It ain't gonna be a good time for a long time. They do not, because foundationally, you can be on the same page with somebody. You know, I get the core has to be there. Like we have the same beliefs, values, morals. We've talked about that a lot on this series. But ultimately, no, opposites can't stay together and be happy. Because my thing is this, and this was on the episode of Freedom. If I like to do something, if I say, Shayna, I like to go out. My partner does not like to go out. But someone mentioned this to me and said, well, what if, you know, he like you so much that he might say, like, I'm just going to deal with that. Okay, that's cool. He going to deal with it for a certain amount of time, because a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, if I continue to go out, he's going to eventually not like that I go out so much, because I'm not at home with him. That's taking away time. Number two, I'm going to actually start to it's going to bother me a little bit if I go out and my dude don't never want to come with me. And then three, if I don't have no integrity and I'm really wilding out, somebody may start really wilding out with somebody else.
True.
So you have all these things that it's like, no, I tell people now, I'm of the notion, date somebody, one, that actually like you. Two, date somebody that like to do the shit that you like to do. And three, you can date somebody that don't like to do everything you like to do, but you need to date somebody, if they don't like to do everything that you like to do, are 100% okay with it and non-judgmental about it. Because I can say many years ago, I dated somebody that I felt like we were opposites in some ways. Like I was more of an extrovert to go out, and he was the type to stay in. But I can 100% say if he did judge, he kept it to himself. Mm. He never judged me out loud. Verbally, I never had to hear no shit about you go out too much. It was like we existed in that space and just knew what it was. I mean, I was much younger. I'm still young now, let's be clear. But I was in my 20s. So I would say, you know, opposites do not attract. That's the thing. I think that opposites attract shit. It may work for some people. Again, nothing I say on the show is a one size fits all. And I think y'all get that by now.
Yeah.
But I do think that on the other side, we get into that opposites attract, or I'm trying something different. All these things is like a way to maneuver our bullshit, interweave it into stuff that we want to do, because you know that you don't like that quiet nigga. You know that you don't like that nigga that ain't got no car. You know that all these fundamental things you know you don't like, but you trying to excuse it. So it's like, you got to get past that and go back to the basics and evaluate. Okay, I say I want a man. And I don't care if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. If you're single and you say you want a man, you have to go back to the basics to really dig into exactly what you want and get into the notion of understanding that you can have exactly that. And so before we dive into a little bit first, I'm about to start asking some questions.
Okay.
I had a conversation with a good sister cat of mine the other day, and I was asking, I said, so what are 3 things that are super important? And I might have said this on an episode. I've done so much recording. But long and short of it, I asked her, like, what are some things she wants in a man? She named these things. And I said she named something she has a habit as far as like getting a wig made. May cost a total of $1,000. You know, that may be the wig installed, whatever comes with it. We'll just say a wig costs $1,000. And I'm like, don't you, like, yes or no, do you want, and I ask you, yes or no, do you want a man that will pay $1,000 for your self-care, no questions asked, give it to you, easy peasy? Would you? Do you want that? Yes or no?
I feel like I need more context.
You got to answer just, if you do, you want a man that will give you $1,000 to go towards your hair care?
No, I want my 1,000 for something else.
Do you want a man that will give you $1,000? I ain't changing my question. Do you want a man that will give you $1,000 for your hair care?
No.
Okay. So you say you want it for something else. Why you don't want it for your hair care and for something else? Why you don't want a man that can give you $1,000 for anything?
I guess I'm thinking in terms of...
We thinking too hard. I'm finna walk up out of here. This show
Don't
is over.
Don't do it. Okay, so back up. Shamika's answer to that would be, I would like a man with the means to give me $1,000. Yes.
Okay, that same thing. Didn't I just ask her, do she want a man to give her $1,000 for anything?
But y'all...
My mouth done got dry.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking about like sugar daddies and other potential. They drop a lot on you in the beginning and then it dry up.
Nice recording. I'm out. Cause tell me this, ladies and gentlemen, cats and dogs, boys and girls. Why when somebody say, "Do you want a man to give you $1,000 for anything?" that we hesitate and the answer is not just yes, hell yes.
Cause I want to know what I gotta do to get it. Cause I'm like,
why do we need context? Because the thing is, you know, it's nothing underlying like it's a trick to it.
Nah.
So my thing is this. One, when it comes to being specific, and I always talk about, do we even pray big enough? They say you should pray big elephant prayers because the things that God is going to give you are far bigger than your imagination.
Yeah.
So are we not even really asking for shit that's big enough? Do we want this man, this husband that we say we want? Do we really think we can get it? Because if I sit here and I ask, you ain't the first person that failed that test I just gave you.
I failed.
She failed it. You recover quickly. You fumble. You recover quick though. But when I ask people, do you want a man that can give you $1,000 for something? And it's like, I don't know no niggas that can do that, or I don't think, or yes, so I definitely.
Can we be honest? Like, so also in that, I think, at least from my standpoint and my view on relationships in general.
Look at her trying to clean it up.
Well, no, when you ask me, or if I have a conversation about what a man's gonna do, in my mind, I'm automatically like following up with what's the reciprocation of that. Because
so the thing is that gotta be understood. So the give and take. If you are already in your mind, if we believe that we can have the things that our heart desires, we also should believe that we are going to be partnered with somebody that understands the give and take. And this is why we do the work on the front end that we're going to talk about today. And I want y'all to take this episode and put it in your back pocket, put it in the notes in your phone.
Because Shamika done failed already.
Yeah, so you can reference it.
Join me instead.
Do you think, since, you just failed that little test that we gave, and it's okay. I'm not going to bring it up anymore, but about 3 more times.
No pressure.
When it comes down to being specific enough in relationships, do you think, honestly, personally, since we said we like to talk about what we know and not what the world thinks, but sometimes it's necessary to talk about what the world thinks in the format of what we do, but do you think you personally have been specific enough when it came to relationships and really drilling down to know specifically what you wanted before you showed up to the relationship?
No.
Okay. Tell us more.
I say no because especially the last round of dating.
Okay.
I did the online app situation, and you would think that's counterproductive. Like, what do you mean? You got to actually choose features, and you still weren't specific enough.
Right.
No, because I still wanted the pool to be open enough that in case somebody
but still,
swim
even
through
with that, I mean, you get to be only so specific on those apps. But I think about it, even if you think about, even though you were on an app, you still had an idea in your mind.
I did.
So you think you had a specific enough idea in your mind?
Cause I know I'm actively learning myself right now, and there were things that I've now learned that I didn't even know to be specific about last time.
Talk to me now. So when did you tap into recognizing when did you have this revelation?
When I realized in a therapy session, me and we'll say Jay for the purposes of these calls. Me and Jay were talking, and Jay was like, so what are green flags versus red flags versus yellow flags? An activity I even do with my own
clients. I feel like you brought that up on a podcast episode before.
So it wasn't foreign to me, but I realized that I had some red flags that had been yellow before.
Okay.
And I had some new green flags.
Okay.
That was like, oh, that doesn't bother me anymore. Okay. Yeah. So we can actually talk about this. So, So that activity was when it clicked that one, maybe even the things that I'm specific about will change as I grow and learn about me, but also like when you were talking about numbers in different things, like taking that to be specific. As I continue to grow, what may have been financially stable to me before may not be financially stable to me
now.
Next year, or even now. Because financially stable, and I know you have a podcast episode talking about like generational curses and different things.
Yeah, and we're going to tap into that whole financially stable, because people love to talk about money.
Because for me, for a long time, it looked financially stable was what I thought financially stable meant growing up. As long as we're not having to live paycheck to paycheck, as long as we're not, hey, we can't even afford to go out. Like we eating at home because, or this idea or financially stable meaning we get to travel. Right. Like, and knowing now, like, it's more to it than that. The mindset is different on how specific I want to be, because I recognize that the flex is temporary. And
y'all heard that? The flex is temporary.
But that mindset lasts forever. So that also, when I said finances have layers, it goes back to this person's healing journey, and are they in therapy? Because so many things we find out that equated to hurt or trauma sometimes is wrapped in so many financial aspects.
Absolutely. And this goes down to something I didn't even say it in the beginning many times, because we just been running our mouth. This is how we get together. We talk so much. I meant to say in the beginning that, what healing, this episode, the topic is about being specific, which I think y'all get by now. But my healing had just taught me that I had to be clear about what I want and dig deep to get a real understanding. And I mentioned, you have to understand why you require certain things, what exactly that should look like, with room for grace of whatever that grace needs to be given. And then standing on it no matter how good or how much of a flex they got going on to keep your attention. And so I dealt with a bum, a loser, a clown once upon a time, that in regards to finances, this person made just terrible financial decisions. And mind you, this was somebody that we were not I won't say dating, I say dealt with, but on the outside looking in, it was just, this goes to with things that people can have, say money, and it's all about how you budget it, how you spend it. But this person was just spending money on things that I would not spend money on. I'm not going to say that they were bad, whatever it was, but it was like, if my partner is making decisions to spend this amount of money on these things, I got to pay attention to that early on. Because say if I had been foolish enough to try to really have something with this person, be with this person, that is who they are, and that is what they like to spend their money on, and I very likely couldn't change that, and that's not my place to go in and try to make a person become something else, because I don't want somebody doing that to me. Same thing if I like to spend my money on flights, that's what I like to spend my money on. So even if you don't like it, that's what I do. So you gonna deal with this and be here non-judgmental, cool. But I think it goes back to also just paying attention to what people do spend their money on, because we have to get away from it. You said the times have changed, the world has evolved, thoughts and things are different. So if I'm going to come into a situation, I think it's important that we are looking at, what does this person do for a living? And depending on how much money they make, how do they spend their money? Do they budget? Are they just kind of like, I spend so I get my next check, spend a check and get it right back? Some people feel that way.
Yeah.
And then also thinking about, with what they do for a living, thinking about this. So one of my friends pointed this out. She said that when it comes to, and this, we're going to get into occupational, we'll get into that. But
Okay.
I'm gonna hold that thought on that side because I want to dig into that. It's good. It connects. I was saying that. Okay, it's so good. I gotta say it now.
I have something about the even. There's multiple worksheets you can find online if you are at the stage right now where you're like, let me bring this conversation in with the person that I'm with.
Because it's tough. How do you approach money conversations? Because you don't really like a person to be. I feel like when people roll up on you, what do you do? A lot of times I feel like people are trying to judge how they're gonna treat you when they ask you that. But in a dating situation, you don't want to be on the first date like, okay, what's your credit score? What's your salary? Like, how do you approach it so you can get a little bit more specific with it?
I feel like it comes up organically as your relationship evolves if it's not being forced.
Okay.
So in terms of one way is, as y'all are deciding, is this a relationship that is seemingly traditional by some standards in terms of I don't touch my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
He pays for everything.
Yeah.
So then I also get a sense of finances based on what he's saying we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or what he okays for us to do.
Yeah.
Like, are we going on dates to all the, top steakhouses?
Mm-hmm.
He's saying, hey, we even in between dates, we going to go do Top Golf, different activities. Or if he's still that person, he's still like, hey, let's do a lot of free things.
Yeah.
Not knocking that, because
not at all.
If you know your financial standing, but you also know how to utilize that to still create an environment of safety and for us to enjoy ourselves, that's a whole.
All for it. But if you real bottom dollar broke, you don't need to be dating, damn it.
That part. But so even with that, the other piece, as our relationship grows, are you offering to put gas in my tank? And
I want that kind of energy. I need you to fill this tank up gas high as hell.
Gas is so high.
I'm about to start riding a bike.
Are you offering to, you've heard me say things and you're going to pick them up and drop them off?
You heard me mention this trip. Why am you going to book this flight? You see how I'm just filling in the blanks?
Yeah, exactly. And then even with that, as we grow, the type of activities that we decide to do to get to know each other.
Yeah. Because
there are ways to say, hey, let's get these different books and we're going to go through the books. And as those financial activities come up, instead of us flinching from them, it's like, oh yeah, I can see myself with you long term. So these are some things that I need to know.
Absolutely.
If we're doing a holiday with the family, do you choose the number of people that we buying gifts for? Is it we only buy gifts for our immediate family? Is it the kids is under the age of whatever?
Yeah.
That can get tricky, y'all, because there's a lot of people out here with a lot of little kids in their family now. That number done got bigger.
Yeah.
Or are we saying, hey, actually, your siblings ain't none of our concern. We'll get your parents gifts because they brought you into this world. Yeah. Everybody else, do what
they
you do.
on their own.
And what's our budget for those things?
Yeah.
Especially if you with somebody through the holidays, being able to be like, what's the budget? Because a lot of times it'll come up. Hey, this is my budget because I got this bill, this
or do
bill,
you do you not like budgets?
If you don't like budgets, then we got to talk about how you tracking your money.
I'm talking about I don't like for him to have. Let me spend all the money I want.
Look, she telling you gotta make.
You
gotta be out here singing racks on racks. What you're saying
is 1,000% true about things we have to think about, and when you're making that specific list, I just think I don't like a stingy spirit. I don't like, and TDJ's preached about that, a stingy spirit, because if you're stingy, before we date, you're going to be stingy when we marry. You don't want to do nothing. We got the refrigerator been broke for 3 months.
I think that's why that worksheet, so the worksheets I'm talking about, they are.
We're going to get some, but I'm going to link them below, y'all.
You get to learn who's the spender and who's the saver.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I need somebody that can do both.
A balance.
Yes, because I will get to a point where I don't spend, but it's usually something has triggered that. It's like, okay, I need to make sure if there's an emergency, I got that. Or I'm not spending because I've been sending money elsewhere and I don't even have it to spend.
Yeah.
So also a partner.
What place are they in?
A partner who in love is gonna be like, hey, so I've been hearing you say you want to do X, Y, and Z. You got it. Go do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Put you first right now in this moment.
And that's necessary for a partner to give you that self-check. I think for me, that's important too. You got to figure out if you got a spender and a saver. And these are things, like you said, organically, if you're getting to know somebody and they want to get to know you as well, that should be coming up. You know, you ain't gonna get it all out in the first date.
Yeah.
But I think, like, because right now I'm in a place where, like, when I get paid, my first thing is not to automatically put a certain amount of money in savings. Like, I have savings, but like right now, if I have extra money, I want to buy a flight. I want to travel. I want to do other stuff. I want to go buy, like, I'm shopping for a new car right now just because I want another car. So I'm like, I'm not in save mode. Like, I will save some. I'm put it this way. I budget every single month. I make sure I'm good, but I'm not a person that if I got an extra, because things come up every month. If I got an extra $600 on this paycheck that's not designated nothing, I feel like I'm gonna go out and blow it.
Yeah.
But some people might say, oh, I got an extra $600. I'm definitely putting that in savings.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I'm definitely gonna spend some of that on something over here, and I'm gonna let the chips fall where they may with the rest. I'm just not in that mode right now. I've been in that mode to get my account to where it's set, but when you get to a certain place, and not saying I got like millions of dollars, but I just know that I'm in a different place financially where I run into conflict. I would say in my last relationship where like people feel like, let's just have our head down and, work on focusing on this, have our head down for a certain amount of time so we can have, fun later, and it's like, even with that notion, because sometimes people will be on there like, I'm a grind for this amount of time. My thing is, even with that, you got to have a plan. Okay, how long is the grind?
That's true.
How much money we trying to save in the grind? How much, if we trying to save this big amount of money, how we plan on doing that? Because it's going to take more than the extra from our paychecks. Do I have the capacity to be in that grind with you?
Yeah.
Is that a place that I'm in my life right now? Because I can feel like with my grind, like I work, of course, corporate America, and then a second side gig, but also this is my job as well, with my content creation. Mm-hmm. So it's like, where is my time and energy being spent? And, my finances allow for me to do the things that I want to do. So when you meet up with somebody, it's like, where do they want to make their time, energy, and money to be spent as well?
And that's a resource that is still financial. It's just not green. It's your time, your energy. Those are things that are a resource.
Because you can't get them back either.
Nope.
You can make
and
money
you
back.
could argue they are the most expensive.
They are. Because, the time wasted, baby.
So I think, to go into, I guess, to wrap up from my viewpoint on that, yes, knowing who's the spender and the saver, that conversation is going to be uncomfortable depending on who you're talking to.
Yes.
Also, where you met them. Because if y'all met because y'all work in the same company or something like that, and y'all were like,
I know how much you make, nigga.
The CEO round table, whatever, y'all don't even need to talk about finances. Like, you already know what this person making.
But that's the thing. If you are dating somebody from work, if they are like at the same level, so it's
HR.
like I know your range. I can look up and see how much you
because we
make.
all make different.
But the thing we got to think about, what do they like to spend their money on?
Yeah.
We can make the same exact amount. Do you, like I just mentioned, I like to spend extra money on travel. And I spend it on other things, y'all. I know I talk about travel. I spend money on other shit. But what they like to spend their money on? They might be as like, they don't like to do nothing, or they may like to go play poker.
Yeah.
They may have, they might be into photography. Whatever the case may be. You got to make sure that you are dealing with somebody that like to spend on what you like to spend it on. And also, people get confused because sometimes you will meet these niggas out and we are here for a good time and not a long time, and they blowing money fast. It could be the bottles or it could be dinner or whatever, and you think you're gonna get that same kind of energy. Let me tell y'all a quick horror story though.
I'm just gonna buckle in.
It's gonna be real fast. I met a dude out at this bar, and he was trying to holler, and that's probably why he was buying like all the drinks for everybody, just buying. And then after, he wanted to meet up, but I had saw a picture of him online. That's why I said, I be so afraid when I meet dudes in dark places, like, you're going to get outside and they're going to look like Thriller, Michael Jackson. I'm always nervous about that. So it was like, so it was like, once I sobered up and saw a picture of him on Instagram, first off, I was like, yeah, no, he'll never see me again. But the second straw was like, we had made plans to go out. And I was going to still go at first, because I was like, I said I would go, but this will be the last time. And he texted me like, I can't go to so-and-so because I'm on a budget, and so-and-so got like $3 drinks today. Mind you, y'all, I'm always here for a drink special. It's no judgment there. But it was literally like, for example, say we wanted to go to like Applebee's. It was somewhere super basic. And he was like, well, no, can we just like go to McDonald's instead? It was like that kind of like, we already down here, which I'm cool. I love the blondie at Applebee's. Let's be clear. So it was like, we already was like, First meetup, I don't call them first dates. First meetup, cool, because I'm cool with a Starbucks meetup. But it was like in that moment where I was in my life, that turned me off. I was like, no, this is where I draw the line. So it's like, even in that, what you want to spend your money on, you had a baller spirit when I met you, and you now have a penny pinching spirit. And
I'm having to hold my scream in. The scream I scrumped on the inside because
I can't do nothing with that.
The way I laugh, I don't want to make the audio too loud because I'm told you I was going to buckle in your stuff. I'm like, man.
Because it's the same thing when you like, I don't care for this. When I used to go, I've been on a couple of dates, meetups with people. They ain't worth my time saying dates no more. And they would be like paying for the food, like, you got the tip? No, I don't. I did not bring my wallet in here. I don't have the tip at all, especially when we first going out. You asked me out. Yeah. Now, mind you, by the time, I do believe in, like, in relationships, I'll take you out for your birthday. Sometimes we may go out to eat. You may think you're going to pay, and I'll be like, I got it. You know, I like doing stuff like that. That's my little flex. Once a year, somebody says you should only pay for birthdays and breakfast. Maybe I need to start sticking to that. But either way, if we are just starting out and you invited me out, do not ask me, do I have a tip? Because my tip gonna be to walk your, what she say, do the hokey pokey and walk your big nasty ass back over there. What she say? And walk your ass back over there. No, I'm not. And call it what you want, but that's me standing 10 toes down. I'm not on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or 1 through 10. I'm not paying the tip. Don't ask me.
Yeah, we gonna establish what's happening before we get there.
Because, you know, I give you an inch, you give a mile. Next, you're going to be asking me to pay the damn
also, bill. Though, I also am with the mindset when I go out, in case anything happens, I also am going to be able to cover my own.
Oh, of course.
Just in case I got to, like,
of course.
This was nice. Let me just go ahead. Check. This ain't even.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what? That's fine. And that's, of course, I still ain't got my wallet. I mean, sometimes I don't bring it in. It's around. I can get to it.
Yeah.
But my thing is just like knowing what you require. And I'm just in that place. I just don't like a penny pinching spirit. You know, in regards to especially starting out. I think once you get in a relationship, things are different because then you be like, I found a Groupon. Like you like, so you together because it's kind of like it's our finances. And it's not saying that when I start out, again, I'm not even saying that we got to go to Bourbon Steakhouse or we got to go to the top steakhouse like you said. I'm all for a Starbucks meetup because we get to know each other. You know, it's not about that. But I just think that starting out, we kind of set the tone. Like, don't set the tone on the first date asking me to chip in.
Yeah.
Like, no. And that's my issue. That happened to me too many times within like the first 1 to 3 times of hanging out with the person that you already asking for me to give you something on it. And another part of it was that like the check is like, we ain't even spent $100. And I got to contribute to this. Like, so so be clear about with finances. I think you just got to go deeper than what the person do for a living and go deeper than, do they, the basics, the basic necessities of life. You got to dig a little bit further, even finding out, people say, you live with your mama? Nah, she live with me.
I'm sorry. See, I was trying not to.
It has to go deeper than that. And I think that's where we kind of fall short. We just look at, what we think they make and what we think they can do for us. No, we got to ask a little bit more questions.
And it can't be a fly-by conversation. I think finances is one of the things that's almost like having children in a relationship. Like, that has to be one of those sit-down moments.
Gotta be nurtured.
We gotta nurture that. And not nurtured as in nurturing hurt. So I'm not talking about, like, stalling your growth to meet someone. What I'm saying is,
time.
Yeah, like you can't fly over that because I can go ahead and tell you it's gonna come up in premarital work, and if you skip your premarital work and get married, it's gonna be one of the first things that come up because you gotta plan a wedding if you're gonna get married.
Yeah.
And do you know how much you find out about somebody's finances when you planning a wedding? So yeah, had that conversation.
Yeah, that's another. I don't know if I want to spend no money on a wedding. But that's another talk for another day.
To add to what you were saying, the other thing is we also have to be thinking about being consistent in relationships and what we ask for in terms of people, not just needs.
Yeah.
So when we think about our friendships, romantic relationships, when you get comfortable with the people around you and they know what your triggers are, they may know what your love, they begin to know what your love languages are. I think love languages is a great starting point, but never all encompassing.
Right.
And they begin to learn just who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
You get comfortable, and there are things you no longer have to ask those people, because it's like, I done asked, you showed you could deliver, so you hear. Those who couldn't, they're now gone.
Right.
But then as we grow, we bring in new people, we try new things. We forget sometimes to be consistent in saying what those things are. So new people come in, and sometimes they learn from the people around us.
Right.
They
can pick up on context.
They can pick up on things, and so you don't have to say it verbally. But then you have those people where you're like, oh, I need to cut them off. And then you have to have other people around you be like, hey, but were you consistent in telling them that this was something
have
that
you taught them how to treat you?
Yes.
You know, they may be a good person and have the best intentions, but just because everybody else already is clued in as to how you operate as a person doesn't mean that this new person knows how to operate that way. So it goes for your relationships and friendships. And I think that's something that people have to tap into more, and that's a lot of conversations that definitely we'll get to on here and on the podcast about friendships and both sides of it. So I'm gonna ask this. I was listening to this Brandy song the other day. It was Wildest Dreams on her 211 album.
Okay.
And she was singing about, you know, the song is about never in her wildest dreams that she thinks someone would care about her the way that this man does. And there is a lyric in there that says something about, some along the lines of that she prayed for the man that she now has.
Okay.
And so I've asked a couple of my friends recently, I was like, y'all ever prayed for a man? And one of my friends was like, hell no. I was like, you did tell me that. Like, one of my friends was like, I ain't never prayed for no niggas. So, but she has a man now, so it was working in her favor, you know. And another friend said that she has like kind of like, you know, in a sense of God, you know, only have people around me that mean well for me, kind of like, you know, keep being discerned and things like that. But not, you know, just getting deep into it like, God, you know, this is what I want. And then as I mentioned, we talked about on the IG Live, we were saying, should you pray for a man? And someone who was married said, she said, hell, y'all pray for everything else? You know, she's like, we, not y'all, but we pray for everything else. Yep. Why you don't pray for a man? So have you ever prayed for a man?
I pray for my future husband daily.
Okay.
I have a journal that's specifically for my future husband.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is, but yeah, he getting them prayers before he get to me.
Oh.
I mean, and it's also practice too, though. Like, I know I want to be a wife, and I know part of being a wife is also to make sure, yes, my husband is the head of the household and he's covering the house, but I also help cover him. Ooh. So before he gets to me, like you said, we living off grandma prayers. Grandma was praying for me before I was known.
You gotta testify. I'm gonna be like, ooh.
I need him to come knowing that he. Oh, okay. Yep, there go them prayers right there.
Do I need to write Klay Thompson name?
See, I said my future husband. I didn't pick him for Jesus. I don't be. See, but that's that specific.
You know, I'm playing because, you know, I kind of get on the fence about, I guess, praying for somebody specifically. Like, I do have a crush on Klay Thompson and Jesse Williams. I think my viewers have figured that out by now. But it gets kind of tricky when, you know, I think for me, which we'll get into, I want to pray for my future husband, just like in general for God to, you know, cover and protect him if that's one of the prayers. But it gets tricky to me when I start thinking about, do I really want to pray for an exact person? Because one, I don't know these people.
I know.
And on the outside looking in, you know, whether it's this celebrity I'm crushing on or just this random person, I don't know them. So it's like, do I really want to be asking for this man I see on my TV screen?
So what I would say about that is, like I said, I don't tie it to a person. I just say I'm
gonna stop doing
my
that.
Future husband, depending on who God sends. But also, random fact, somewhere, this may be astrology or somewhere in a paper. Don't remember where I saw it, but statistically, most of the times we end up marrying or end up with someone we've either met before, or someone we knew, and we don't know. So, like, in thinking about that,
so that's why one of my friends was talking about she done rekindled something with a nigga from 20 years ago, and I said, "What in the I was bored is this going on?"
And even if that's not true, and you end up with someone that you don't even know, we talking about opposites don't attract. We talking about being specific and what we're asking for. If I'm doing all of that, how I have been specific is when I'm praying for my future husband, something may have happened that was really hard for me to deal with or handle. And as I'm learning to overcome it, I'm telling God already, I hope this is something my husband has figured out. Or I hope this is something that even as I'm learning and growing in this, if he has not already did that,
Yeah.
that when we find each other, that is not something we have to struggle through together.
Ooh.
So that is what I mean when I say I'm praying for my future husband. I have a journal for my future husband.
I love that.
It's this idea of literally being able to have conversations with this person, not know what they look like physically, not know Love is Blind. No shade, no shade, but kind of. Not Love is Blind or, any of those shows, but this idea that before I met you, I was having certain conversations with you. Yes. And so when we start to have those conversations,
that's the craziest song.
Be able to even smile. But it's funny because
it makes sense the older you get. Shit, I guess I did love
sometimes your parents, your grandparents will tell you things like, I've done some things, and my mama will laugh and be like, yeah, I told God before I even had kids that I knew he was going to have to send somebody for that one, because and then laugh about it and be like, dog. So before this even occurred our relationship,
it makes so much sense. Like praying for your future husband, that journal, I love that idea. I'm gonna have to take that up. Praying for
funny enough
future kids and whatever that may be.
We talk about journaling a lot on our healing journeys, and there was a period in my life where I honestly could not journal, and I know we don't talk about that a lot. But it was like, I don't know what to say here. I don't want to talk to me because I don't even want to look back on this time period and reread what's happening now. This would be a burn because I don't want to. Yeah. And so I was told to talk to somebody that I would feel comfortable talking to. Mm-hmm. My future husband was so far like this concept of like, he may or may not exist, whatever. Like, I'm just going to start. Yeah. So it was something at that time. It was easy to have that conversation. And as I did that, the more I did that, in all honesty, the more I was able to even come to like conceptualize and accept, there's a future husband for me somewhere. He ain't here right now.
That's amazing. That is a testimony to like the write it down and make it plain mentality. And I think that I'm in a space where like I'm processing certain things about relationships in my mind that I'm going to give, because I like to write. I have so many journals. I feel like sometimes I go through my house, like I need to just gather all my journals and put them in a safe place, because you be thinking like, if I die, Lord, they read my journal.
Don't do that.
So somebody just get a hold of it, like where I got them in all the places. But I definitely like that idea, because when I'm processing things that I just said, but I am going to soon get to a place where I am ready to start writing stuff down to get specific, because even with some of the things we're about to go into, I don't have all the answers or know specifically what that is for me yet. But it's like having a working list. I ain't got to know all of it.
Yes. Yet. Or we make birthing plans for babies that we don't know yet who this baby's going to be. Mm-hmm. You make registries for birthdays and other things for things that may happen in the year that you don't even know going to happen.
Know. So why not do the same for these niggas? So that said, I want to dig into the pillars that I mentioned on episode 1. And so I said spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, occupational, and financial. And I'll put those on the screen so that you all can remember them. Now, I think Tamika's point that we, before I've talked about it, not on here on the podcast about, sometimes it's beneficial. I think on here on the episode, I more so wrote out, sometimes when you're going through a breakup, it's best to kind of write down the pros and cons of the relationship. Mm-hmm. So you can like see it clearly. Because we tend to get stuck on like, he treated me good for just a moment. That 3 months that were great, and we forget about the other 10 months that were terrible. And so I think that I don't want these pillars to be used as like a pros and cons, because you got to be realistic. Yeah. But I think it's all about, to your point, like whether you journal, write it down, whatever you want to call it, just to get clear and get clarity. And so the purpose of what we're about to go through in these categories and talking them through is just to give you all some ideas of things that you probably had not thought about. Because some of these things I had to really think about, and I'm still thinking about. And that's why I'm not as, I don't feel like I'm deep enough in my journey as far as the processing of exactly what I want in a partner. So even though I be kind of manifesting Klay Thompson and Jesse Williams, kind of a little bit, I don't even know if I would want them right now if they was in front of me. Because I'm not real clear about exactly what I need my relationship to look like. And I'm figuring it out, and that's okay. And I know that. So that's why I'm not like in nobody's face right now. And y'all stay out of mine unless it's y'all too. So we are, we going to carry on. So I want to ask.
Somebody please drop this off on their desk. Just drop it off.
Just drop it off. Just drop it off on that desk. So we're going to start with the spiritual.
Okay.
Because on Bully's episode, she talked about how she dealt with a man and used his Bible as like a prop. that like she would come over there and be on the same dusty ass page. Like he wasn't really in his word, like he could talk a good game, but he really wasn't about that life. And so I know that for me, I feel like when it comes to spirituality and just relationships, a lot of times talking to God is like the last thing that we do. So I'll say this. I feel like in all the relationships I've been in, when it came to conflict that we had, you know, we talking to each other, I'm possibly talking to friends. I may pray about it a little bit. For the most part, I'm doing external things. Yeah. And then I wait and go to God in prayer about it when things are bad, like we mentioned. Versus for me, I know I now want, one thing I know for certain, I want to be partnering with a person that is like, we go to God first and we talk about this and we figure it out, because you know, I ain't saying you want to live a life, you can say like, what would Jesus do about we aren't, you know, perfect. But we want to live a life that is just in alignment with having that faith first, and trusting and believing that we can work through things. Because I know if you're going to be married or in a long-term relationship, you face things, you go through things. And we want to be able to lean on the strength of, you know, of the mighty God more than I want to just be leaning on myself. So I want to ask you, when it comes to spirituality, what do you feel like the focus should be? You know, because a lot of times people just say like, does he go to church? Do we believe in God? And we kind of stop there. I don't even know if we at the church part, because these days some folks don't go to church. So we meet a dude and we just like, you believe in God? Yeah, okay. And then we ain't saying nothing else about spirituality.
Ooh. So I think briefly, but also breaking it down into steps, you have to acknowledge where you are spiritually and where you want to be.
Woo!
And once you do that, then you can properly assess or ask yourself what you want for a partner. Because we also could find ourselves in situations where you have identified a partner for where you want to be,
but you ain't there.
You meet that person and all of a sudden it's too much, or they too much of that. And it's because that's where you trying to be, but you're not there yet.
So and it's a lot.
It's friction for you because it's a reminder of what you're not yet doing.
Ooh, my friend this past weekend was here. We had this conversation and she was literally leaving out. She was like, Shane, you know, as much as you talked about God and other things like that, she was like, I know I got to do better with like getting in touch and stepping into just kind of like my Christianity or faith or however you want to put it. Because when I was telling her about, you know, we got to go to God and pray about certain things, she was like, well, I know that I got to do a little bit of work before I even can take that step of going to God and ask for these certain things. And she was like, I know I'm not deep off in it like I want to be or like I should be or like I could be. Almost like I don't even feel comfortable asking God for that because I don't talk to him enough on the front end.
Yep.
Yeah, so
what's like, that song? I come to you more.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a huge part of it, because I'm not God, so I can't say that, you know, if we never talk to God and the only time we go to him is when we're asking for things. What do you think about that notion? Like, does God reward that if we only talk to him when we asking him for stuff? I'm like, we're not evangelists or anything.
We not. But so this is me in the mindset of favor ain't fair. I feel like a lot of times scratch that. God knew who he made when he made us. Because I feel like some of us, and I'm speaking for myself in some periods of my life. So this is that personal reflection. There have been times where I definitely didn't give praise as much as I needed to, but I was getting blessed left and right.
Okay. So he's a guy, he's an on-time guy. He does what he does. I just was wondering. So I think it's clear. I don't think people should feel like, oh, I can't ask for what I want in a relationship because maybe I'm not close enough with God. I think if something is pulling at your spirit, you feel like you're not close enough or you don't talk to him enough, I think that's a sign for you to do more of talking to him.
Y'all, this ain't a spiritual podcast.
Yeah, I curse way too much.
Look, I feel it. But just to say, because something you just said there, it hit. That's about like that question that I failed around $1,000. Whether you feel close to God or not, God is always close to you. So this idea that I'm not close enough to him to ask for what I want, he is my father. And even in the times when I make my parents upset, I still can ask them for things. And also know that even when I don't ask, when they know I need, their heart is set in how can I meet that need of my child. And provide.
And it goes back to episode 2, I think, when we talked a lot about being fulfilled, whether you are single or in a relationship. And part of fulfillment is like, my cup is full with my relationship with God. You know, that's first for me, that the relationship on its own can't fill me up no way. So I think to your point, you always do have the Father. You always have him regardless of what is happening. And I think when it comes down to the spirituality, just knowing that You know, do you want somebody that does believe in God? You know, how does he apply his faith? Is he a person? Does he pray? Does he, know how to pray? Does he go to God to cover you all? How does he lead the home? Does he lead it as a, a God-fearing man? What does that look like? Like, explore. Also, this breaks down. I've talked about this before. I've dated people that just didn't. I dated a dude that did not go to church because he said, I feel like the pastor be preaching about the same thing. And I said, don't we many times go through the same thing in life? I said, yeah, but for me, that's fine if you feel that way. You're just not for me, because I feel like every time I go to church, it may be the same word, but every single time Bishop never miss is something I can take away. And he may be saying something a different way 20 different times, but that time I got it, I caught it, I take some away. And for me, and I feel like you have to stand on these things when it comes to your categories, pillars, whatever you call it. I want somebody that goes to church, and we've talked about this, that you may have to, it's not about convincing, but it may be something they haven't done before, but they're open to it.
Yeah.
So it's all about what is important to you. I enjoy Bible study. I want somebody that enjoys that as well. I like having, like I said, I'm not an evangelist, but sometimes I do like having spiritual conversations or talking about things of the Bible. You meet people that people call it, but Bible thumpers as they call them. And people are like, yeah, they too much. They talk about God too much. Like, I don't want that energy.
We going deep on this podcast or on this YouTube series, so just a little disclosure. Specifics for me have looked like I want somebody to pray with.
Yeah.
I want someone who we can talk about our spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
We don't maybe not be of the same denomination, but I don't feel like I have to hide any part of my spirituality from this person because it makes me weird, or then be like, you ain't a true believer if you think and speaking in tongues and all of that.
Yeah.
Also someone that we can, like, our spirituality, in a sense, us sharing our spiritual journey is a form of intimacy that does not require sex or anything that is like a sexual turn on. It's intimacy in the sense that us being able to walk that journey together brings us closer together.
Absolutely.
And it's also another area in our life, in our relationship, and therefore then in our marriage that cannot be broken by any man, because that is something that almost in a way is another form of validation that this relationship was formed by God.
Absolutely. So I love that. And I want you, as we go, give the people more of like what your thoughts are. That's definitely what we're about. We're sparking the interest and giving things for people to talk about. So I'm going to jump to the finances, because people love. I want the flowers. I want the trips. I want the vacations. I want a man to spend his money on me. What are you shaking your head?
Because finances are one of those things that is a key stressor in any relationship, whether it be dating, it be marriage. Yes, I am speaking from a therapist standpoint on that.
Yeah.
But then also speaking from a personal standpoint, in just relationships and family history and other things. Finances are the thing that a lot of us oftentimes have to heal from as well. So finances are something that I feel like have such symbolic meaning, because yes, there are finances and money. Then there's finances as in financial hurt. There's financial healing. There's financial prosperity. There's financial poverty. And then there's that aspect of your financial, like, actual mindset.
Yeah.
Which was also shaping all that. So, like,
so many layers.
Finances, you lay that on the table, and oftentimes by the way people respond to that, sometimes you can tell where they are on the journey and even healing in itself.
Oh yeah. That's like I saw on another podcast. I can't remember the name of it. Not gonna try to. And this woman said that she grew up very middle class, but she put herself in a poverty-like situation financially, and she's a successful entrepreneur now. But she said growing up, she said now she spends on food in a month what she was spending when it was her salary back before she became who she is now. But she said it wasn't a flex, because she was like, the thing is, this comes from a place of trauma and poverty that I created for myself, to the point where I made such bad financial decisions that me and my child would have to split a Wendy's value meal. Like, she get the fries, I get the nuggets, and we got to share the burger and the drink, because I couldn't afford anything more than that. So she's like, this is almost like a trauma response that I spend. She's like, I want everything. I want the appetizers. I want the dinner. She's like, I spent all this money on food because of what I didn't have. So I said that to say, it goes right to your point. What are the mindset, all the layers that you just named, where do they stem from? And where is that person's mindset with money right now? And I think we absolutely have to have that conversation, think about it, because I just think in the society of social media and what people see, recently I saw, you see the celebrities come home to the house full of flowers. You see the flexing with the cars. You see the money. You see it online whether people got it or not. I saw somebody post a meme on Facebook the other day said, you think people rich until you hang around them and find out you broke, So it's like
their mindset.
Their mindset still broke. Yeah, that too. So it's like in all of the elements, just society and social media has just done, I feel like, more harm than good in some situations when it comes to how we think. In the era of God rest his soul, Kevin Samuels, and the high value man, we ain't really heard that word in a while. But I still think that people, when it comes to finances, we will go into a situation and say, like, what do you do? And we assume based on what you say you do, how much money you make. And we say, oh, he got a good job, he gonna be okay. And you think that's pretty much like where it stopped. He take you to dinner a couple times. You might get a chance you might go from anywhere from Cheesecake Factory, my favorite, up to, if you go to Fleming's or something here. What?
I think this is where, when you talk about the ages sometimes, like, oh, this is my 33 and up crowd, or this my, like, 30s, because in my 20s, I wasn't really, focused on. I think this is one of those conversations that focus on that piece, because I don't know about you, but I feel like we at that age now where, like, let's be honest, we having that conversation off rip because we understand if I'm being tied.
I think me and you understand, but do you think a lot of people, even our age, say 30 plus, really understand?
Okay.
Beyond wanting somebody to flex.
Most of my circle understands, but you are right. Maybe not everybody. Society does not have that mindset. So we can go throw this out here for y'all.
Society wanted to look good.
So I'm gonna throw this out here for y'all. Even the people who say marriage is just a sheet of paper, and that's why they're not married yet. When you go into a relationship with someone, whether it's on paper or not, y'all living together, y'all splitting bills, you are signing up or taking on that person's debt as well.
And I need a come up if you die.
What student loans looking like? Who's your beneficiary? Do we got a living will? We done seen so many celebrities die, and then what happens to their estate? Like, so even
because they didn't even take care of business.
So I just feel like it's everywhere. So it's like one of those things where, like, even if you don't know, you gotta have some, like, semblance of, like, this is something I should be taking care of, because it's everywhere for us to hear these things. But how this goes into the financial piece in terms of how you're talking about it, finances is one of those things that's almost like, spirituality. You speak from the framework that you are in currently.
Ooh, you roll.
I was met with that spending more money on food. I may not be buying, everything under the sun and loading my refrigerator down, but when I go out to eat, or when I get asked out to eat, I'm making sure, like, oh, so I'm about to enjoy myself. I'm not finna, like, look at the menu and be like, oh my God, how much that costs?
Yeah.
It's gonna be, what is my appetite for the night?
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting.
You say, so it's extra if I add the shrimp.
Yeah.
That's okay, go ahead and then sometimes you're even mad, like, I didn't need to know it was extra. I just asked you for it.
Just give it to me.
Just give it to me.
I guess they know people be like, I ain't know it was extra,
But that's I'm the yes, guap me please.
Yeah.
Person, and
I want the mac and cheese.
I'm a steak and eggs type of person. So if I see a menu, it's seafood or steak.
That's another thing too when it comes to finances. I always tell people how I operate is I'm a person that I only ask for what I'm going to require or what I can do for myself.
Yep.
So if I am saying that I want to go out and I want to go to dinner and eat well, and because on these days on the internet, me and Swear, the only reason women date them is because we're trying to get something to eat. So my thing is, like, if we are going to a restaurant and I'm like, whatever I will order with you is what I would order by myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I am not asking, even if we go out, we buying drinks, of course, as the man, you are paying for two, so it's gonna be more. But if we going out for a night on the town, whatever drinks or whatever I'm ordering, however I'm kicking it, that's the same way I was doing it when I was by myself. So I want people to understand that too, like, showing up in spaces, just make sure like how you navigate things, and you want somebody that's not telling you, well, tonight we only got $20.
Oh, and I also, where my girlfriends may set you up for the fall, my boy, when I go out, I'm with the group of people that's arguing over who gonna pick up the tab.
Yeah, we're not on that.
It's not who's splitting, like, what you got. Like, literally, the last couple of times I have went out, it's so funny. Me and you did it, and then I have another friend who literally, we had to just keep track like a tally system. Last time you pay, so I'ma pay, and it ain't on no like keeping track of who paying. It's so we don't argue when the tab comes. Like, don't even argue when it gets to the table, because last time we went out, you picked it up.
Yeah,
you know,
so
like
I got it. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, understanding how you operate with your friends. You know, that's like me and my friends go out. I'll be like, okay, I got the first round. Somebody else, I got the next round. You know, whatever the case may be. So that's the type of time we on. So with it. You out with your nigga and you looking at him like you got the next round. He looking at you. You looking at him.
It's like, this a different energy
yeah,
than I'm used
to. That's what we not gonna do. So get clear about it. So this goes into what I was so anxious to mention earlier in the pillar in regards to occupation. And so I had a conversation, and I have conversations with my friends sometimes before I come into these things, because I like to just give people real life perspectives. And so I was saying, when it, you know, people say I want a man with a good job. And we'll say, you know, that's a good man, Savannah. So we always tend to think, you know, when they say I want a man with a good job, I was like, what the fuck does that really mean? I want a man with a good job. So you got to think about that. And then it went to this. I was telling my friend, she is an entrepreneur. And she was like, yeah, I was like, entrepreneur or a guy that works like a 9 to 5. And she was like, she said, I like a dude that, you know, he's an entrepreneur. He has the freedom to move how he wants to. She's like, I move like that. That's what I like. So then I went on to say, well, me and you real different. I said, because I like the clarity of knowing that my man get paid on the 15th and the 30th. I said, that gives me peace of mind to know I got a check coming. That's why I said, I don't know if I ever.
Yeah, I got a check coming.
Yeah. I said, as big as I know that my brand and the podcast and YouTube is going and I'm going to make these millions of dollars, I was like, the hardest part for me is going to be leaving corporate America. Because at that point, you know, it's
stability.
Is it that stability? Yeah.
Boy.
So then I went on. She was like, I like somebody that's an entrepreneur. I said. So I went on to say, I can't date no creative nigga. And she said, oh, that's why I draw the line. I ain't out here with somebody. You a goddamn poet on the weekends, or you write raps. You say you want to be a rapper or you want to make beats, but I ain't heard a rap yet. So it's like I don't want no nigga. I said no, because that creative shit, that's like, you know, coming out on a whim. And yeah, I am a singer, or I am somebody that does write poetry, or whatever it may be. Those things where you live off of your gigs. That, no, I can't do it. So when it comes to, so what does it mean? Do people, I feel like, stop, you know, you ask a person, what a man with a good job. What's a man with a good job? You have to figure out what that is for you. It's different for everybody. And then also I think when my friend mentioned she likes somebody that is an entrepreneur, y'all get clear about that, because the person say, I got my own business. Okay, what is that business? Let's go there now. So I'm a plumber. Okay, cool. You know, whatever plumbers make, I don't know. I just made that up. She say she okay with somebody. She said use their hands. That's what she likes. So I get that. That kind of deal. That's different. You know, you out here
know how to like make something.
Yeah, you out here getting it versus an entrepreneur that they selling Forex, allegedly. I don't know if I can say that. So they out here, they're part of that crypto scam that just dropped a couple of days ago. So it's like being clear about that. And
you know, I'm a whole Care Bear when it comes to stuff like this. In
what?
Terms of, told y'all, me and my future husband have conversations. Well, I have them with him right now, but that's not.
I'm like,
the point is, that is a part of it. Saying how much I hope he is in a stable job or a stable career.
Mm-hmm.
But finances have looked different because I actually make it separate from that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be in a career or a job that he loves.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be a stress that he brings home and it adds to our stress.
Yeah.
I want him to be.
That's so true. I talked about that on the episode. And I always mention, so I'm gonna try to look at the other episodes. I said that if a person is not happy in their career, especially at our age in this place, you're going to feel it. They're gonna be unhappy. That unhappiness is going to rub off on you, and that's just so true. You gotta be, because we spend more time at work than we spend anywhere.
Yep.
And
in the long run, that's still gonna impact your finances, because if your job is making you physically sick, now we got medical bills.
Exactly. Or you gonna be at work doing some crazy shit and you can probably lose it,
just to get fired.
Yeah, you got fired. I don't like people that also where was I going with that? I literally just lost my thought.
Okay. Yep.
But no, I think that when it comes to not liking your job, okay, that's where I found it, y'all. When you don't like your job, but also you're not trying to do nothing about it. Because everybody gets to a place where your job can, you know, be something that's like, I need to leave this place. And I'm actively looking for work. Because finding a new job is a job in itself.
Yes.
It's hard work. I get it. But my thing is, I dealt with someone that was not happy with where he was in his career. And this was a person that the company told him, like, if you do these, say 3 things, you have a better chance of getting another opportunity to go elsewhere. Wouldn't do it. Just complain. And how can I be in relationship with that? Because guess what? I bet if you are not a mover and shaker at your job to try to find something better, I bet that behavior shows up in other places too.
Oh, yeah.
That ain't just to your job. You lazy as fuck. And you
or not even. Oh, okay. Side note, or you're conflict avoidant. But that's not healthy for any relationship.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't want to confront the issue. So when it comes down to occupation, I think you have to get down to the nitty gritty of what you want. And that's really an area, you know, of all things being equally yoked. Like, you got to be able, I think sometimes when it comes to finances and occupation, like, it's not as much wiggle room with some stuff. And you got to be clear about that and stand on it, because I know I want somebody that makes around the same money that I make.
More.
Or, well, yeah, I'll start with what I make. I want to make more, but I can deal with you if you make what I make. We could be okay. And I think that starting out, because this is, again, I'm talking about just potential partners. I ain't saying that we just gonna turn into something. Sure. This is stuff I'm thinking about. And overall, think about that, child. These are things we're saying. You go into situations and see what it's gonna be like. If they not meeting certain stuff, then, you know, boom, we gone.
And I want to say this because I feel like sometimes when you and I have conversations for the public, I kind of step on grass.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I don't want nobody to hear this and like be like, oh, like I don't want to work with her, like, you know.
Yeah.
What, like, that's harsh.
But this is who you are.
But when I say I want someone to make more,
y'all know this tree been beating my ass for 3 episodes.
We have conversations. Like I said, my conversations in dating look different now. Mm-hmm. Something that I'm comfortable telling people while we're dating, when we're talking about what our families look like.
Do I to make more? I do.
Yeah, or what we're going to make. I want somebody that makes more because there's a period where I know I'm going to be out of work.
Oh, yeah.
I want to be able to have the freedom to be out of work, to be present when we start to have children.
I do want my job to be optional. Meaning that I want to be with somebody that if I don't work, we still can live the same lifestyle. Why are you laughing?
Because I like the way you said someone that can make it optional, because in my head I was like, the way you said it is not the way I said it, but it's the same. That is no, like that.
You did. I'm agreeing. You're right. We said the exact same thing.
No, you know how like when somebody says something different, do it feel different? Like, dang, like I really need to tell this man, like. So I just need you to know I need the freedom for us to be able to say that I don't have to work.
Yeah.
And you be okay with that.
Yeah, you be okay and we be okay, and our lifestyle does not have to be diminished or lowered by not working. So get clear about that. I think you have to understand that. So you're right in that sense. And I think for me, that stability, the creative entrepreneur, not a steady check that we know is coming every 2 weeks as long as you're employed there. The benefits that come along, because health insurance outside that, it's expensive with a job, but it's even more expensive standalone. Okay. The things of, you know, what type of work do you do? You know, what do you do? You can have a good 9 to 5, but what do you do?
I definitely want
how would you feel about, I don't know. How would you feel about dating like a defense attorney? Like, he defending killers and that he know, like, say he the big dog and he the person that can get you off, even though he know the big dog did it.
I feel like that's a lot of stress that I'm worried about who's coming for us.
That's like I don't think I could date like a firefighter.
Not Tyler Perry's, you know.
I don't know about a firefighter. They don't do much.
That mad black woman like he got shot because, you know, that whole thing went wrong. Like,
I don't knock out firefighters or police. Dating a policeman would be scary for me because the climate of that work.
You know how much they actually make. That's a lot of trauma for little money.
Yeah.
just like people swear people in the military make a lot of money. It's a lot of trauma once again for not a lot of money. Like, are you making enough money that the amount of trauma that your job could enforce, the job would pay for it? There we go.
You got to think about that.
That's my foundation.
Yeah. So get beyond, I want a man with a good job, and find out really in that job, is he happy? Is he fulfilled? How does, you know, of course, how you spend that money within it. And
what skills are going to rotate into your relationship? Yeah. Like, I want a man that knows how to, like, to use his hands. I'm gonna me watch this, so I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Because right now, so I use this great app. I ain't getting no free publicity, but it's the app I use where, you know, you basically can call like a handyman. You need something done around the house, you can find anything on there. And I've met men that feel like, I want to say my grandfather was like that. He was more so like, I just pay somebody to come do it. He wasn't really like gonna fix
But at
nothing.
least
I
he
don't
had
think
the
he could because
resources
he was
to
a
do
boss. I
it.
think he could.
Yeah.
I think I very well much so think my grandfather could have done it, but my grandfather was, just a smooth, got money going.
Look, he sound like Silk already.
Yeah,
Like,
just
no,
I'll pay for that. I ain't putting that toilet together. You could get somebody
but
over
see,
here.
I want somebody that knows how to use their hands to build, can also give a good massage, and maybe can go in and cook a good meal. You
This
know,
is
like
true.
I want.
You ain't say what for? Yeah, your hands can be used a lot of different ways.
So also someone though that has the mindset too that even if they have a job, let's say they are a banker, they don't mind bringing that skill home.
Yeah,
like you don't handle somebody else's money and then get home and our finances look amok, because
it makes sense, because with the industry that I'm in, that's why I'm all about the budget. I'm all about allocating funds. I'm all about knowing, like, do I want to save this money or do I want to spend it? Even though, yeah, because as you were saying that, I was sitting here thinking, like, I don't really like when people try to roll up on me with conversations about, like, I guess because I don't work with that side of my job. I was going to say, if you roll up on me trying to ask me about a check and savings account, pick somebody.
pick somebody else.
Get somebody else to do it. That ain't what I do at work.
Do it.
So yeah, but when it you're right, when it comes to certain things with like lending and other stuff that I have my hands in, I definitely am a resource for like friends and family and stuff to, talk to me about it. So yeah, that makes sense. You want somebody that can use the skills at home as well. I like that. I like that. So this is what I want to get into, because I said this is very important, and I talked about how my friends convinced me once upon a time to veer from what I wanted physically, and it just did not work in my favor. So I say I'm of the notion, when it comes to physical, go for what you want. And we're going to have a conversation about this too, because on TikTok, I've been talking to some people, and I know one woman, I'm got to get with her about doing an IG live. She said she married somebody that wasn't her physical type, and she's divorced now.
What was my lip jumping?
And then look, somebody on TikTok said she's married or in a relationship right now with somebody that was her opposite. And I didn't go into it with her about like how she wound up there. Yeah. But what's your thoughts about the physical? Like, is it a hard stop? Like, this nigga gotta look like this? Or is it like...
Y'all, I'm laughing. I told y'all I've been on my own little journey lately.
As long as he's nice and has all his teeth in his mouth.
What? Pause. The pause is necessary.
He ain't gotta have all his teeth in his mouth?
No. Preferably, I need to know you taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
I think the only way the physical is not, for me, is not going to come into play is if we meet on in an atmosphere where we've already been getting to know each other, and physical wasn't like immediately what we were looking for. Because then when I start to fall for you, or there's an
like
attraction,
the personality was
it's like, oh, okay, I got to know this person first. Because like, real talk, Shamika is I want to be able to like look up to you when we talking. There's something about that. If we kissing, I gotta like lean up a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
The idea that when you hug me, that embrace make me
Ooh,
feel like,
hug.
I'm melting a little bit. It's a thing about a voice. That's the other reason why I gotta know that I'm not trying to look at you. Because if we talking and that voice ain't deep, automatically like, oh, okay, you got me on a business level for sure. Because I'm like, but if it's like that velvet silk, like, maybe a little Al Green with a little rasp to it, like, I'm trying to be as professional as possible while I'm still listening. Like, oh man, like if he said, "Do you want to go to dinner?" Yes. What time?
I'll be there.
I'll be there. Yes. All on key. So, I think that physical should not be the whole basis of the relationship. Yes, but I also think it is an important factor when we're looking at somebody and determining if, like, we're gonna go out with them. Cause like, even when you're talking to family, sometimes they can be like, "This is a really good person," but because there is no physical attraction there, that ain't. Cause all it's gonna take is one wrong thing to happen, and they're gonna be looking for a way out.
I'm a cheat.
Not that I would cheat if you're not, tall, dark, and
shit. If you
tall, dark,
that's
and
what
handsome.
I get. That's what I get. Over here talking shit about if you ugly, I'm more apt to cheat.
But I guess
I'm not a cheater, y'all. I don't cheat no more. I'm playing. I have an episode about that though. I think one of the number one reasons why people cheat, they're not physically attracted to their partner no more. And it's not because their partner has become ugly. It's because they're doing things that are making them less and less attracted to them.
So even that, if a person is not physically attractive to you, how do you determine what you're gonna work on and not work on? Because one of the things to be like, you know what? okay, I'm gonna have a conversation with you instead of making that a red mark because you do bring me joy in other ways. If one of them is, I don't even like looking at you, how am I gonna really be like, you know what, we can have a conversation? Because I'm already like, I wanted a reason not to have to sit in this room with you anyway.
Yeah, I done thought about it because it was somebody on my radar. This was many years ago. A guy that great personality, really liked him, but I was just like, I kept looking at him, like trying to make myself like think I couldn't bring myself to like force it.
So I think so. There's a piece here too, and so just so y'all know, this is something I'm working on with my therapist. It's one of those philosophy questions.
Mm-hmm.
Is that truly us being shallow? Or is that
Call
a piece?
It what you want.
Well, is there? Oh, that's a good song. Or is there a piece of it there that is already us looking at this person and being able to see a future? Because I need to be able to look at you and see us having a future together. And scientifically, there are things behind the way a person looks, like shapes of their nose, eyes, all that good stuff, and then even how they smell.
I'm seeing things.
So
that's why like I'm drifting off into space.
My partner's gonna tell me without me even knowing. They telling me it's like, hey, you know, there's some potential here. The chemistry.
They who you want, what you want. If you ain't looking right, I'm not rolling over looking at that.
In other words, it goes outside the basic hygiene, y'all.
Yeah. What do you think about this? When people, this is just a random question. When people start like gaining weight in relationships, like addressing it, how you address that?
I mean, there's happy weight.
Yeah.
There's depressed weight.
Yeah.
There's
more layers.
You clearly ain't been taking care of yourself weight. There's different kinds of weight. So I think that conversation also comes with what is happening. Because maybe the depressed weight doesn't look like us having a conversation about you gaining weight as much as it looks like, hey, what's happening now? What's going on? I'm noticing. And you don't even touch on the weight. Maybe it's they not making a bed. Maybe you're not brushing your teeth or taking a shower. Y'all, mental health. We see different things. Health.
So yeah, that makes sense.
So having a conversation from that angle and then saying, hey, part of that is I need to make sure you go see your doctor. And then you let the doctor do the heavy work. You know, like take that off my plate. You go ahead. The doctor gonna ask you those questions.
So I think it's all about, you're right, addressing it a different way and understanding that it's bigger. It's not just immediately like I'm over here trying to be on 600-pound life.
Because if it's happy weight in the relationship, then hopefully we both happy. Yeah. So then that conversation be like, hey, babe, maybe we should go to the gym because we eating out a lot in this relationship and doing different things. Yo, we need to go. Let's scale that back. Well, let's make getting healthy together a thing. Mm-hmm. Because that could be showing someone that you love them. And that also could be a sign of this person really cares so much for me. And maybe this is them saying we are going to take this relationship to the next level or be long term. Mm-hmm. Because they care enough that they're like, this is going to be another part of our relationship together is our lifestyle and our health.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think physical, go for what you want. Make sure you like who like you. Make sure you can, address things if you need to about whatever the physicality is. But I think that to each his own with that. Some people personality, looks ain't all that. But
I think another important thing that you've said in multiple episodes and podcasts that no one's really called you out on that I really feel like you should get some props on.
What's that?
Is even when you said that, you said you've tried out of the box. So you're not telling anybody not to try. But also, you have not yet said, here's my box and this is what I'm going and looking for.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you've given prefaces because we know your boy Clay. Clay is unique. You ain't gonna find nobody else like him. Mm-mm. But to say, I'm not saying that because, I want someone with a really deep voice and, that chocolate skin tone. That I like my sneakers, but if somebody else came in my peripheral, it's not saying they're gonna get shut off. That I know looking at them like, okay, immediately maybe that's not a distraction. Immediately I don't have to worry about dang, this man already got me you need me to do what?
It definitely goes to the preferences. I have that people I think that are attractive, but I don't have it in one box because you can come caramel skin, you can be lighter skinned, you can have wavy hair, you can have long, you can have dreads. It's a lot of things.
Locks, a ball,
beard,
no beard.
All that. So it's like I don't have a one size fits. I just like what looks good, and I like who likes me. I try to anyway. Try to like who like me, and that makes it a whole lot easier. So something you mentioned in regards to even with the weight part and how it could be like mental health, that leads right into the next category of mental and emotional. And so I would say one of our friends said the guys have caught on. They will show up on the first day. Yeah, I'm in therapy. I'm in therapy. Nigga, you ain't synced a therapist talking about you in therapy. Or you went to one session, ain't been back, and talking about you in therapy. Also, a good friend of mine talked about how, dated a man that said he was like emotionally aware or available and was absolutely not. So what do you think about when it comes to this category that people got to get more specific on?
Once again, where are you? Where you want to be, and then also taking it out of the people and bringing it to Shamika. Based on my moral code of ethics, but also the person that I want to be and being authentic with the public, I am a therapist. I'm a mental health advocate. I cannot have someone who does not believe in taking care of their mental health, who doesn't even believe in therapy, or who doesn't want to try therapy because, step on some toes. I'm sorry, y'all. That's like me going to church, being saved, living on the Lord, and marrying someone who may be an atheist, and then bringing children into that, and being like, this is who I am. But also, I can't deny them who the other half of them are.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you this is the lifestyle you have to live. Yeah. When I married somebody that wasn't the lifestyle they was living, that's contradictory to tell my child that. Just like I can't be doing all these things for my mental health and then attach myself to someone who isn't, because that's contradictory to me.
Sure is. I love that, and I agree with it. And I think that it's important that when it comes to the mental and emotional capacity that you want to date somebody that got some damn sense, that's mentally okay, because we see a lot of things on social media. We're like, that's just crazy what you dealing with. Like this woman on the episode I talked about a divorce court with a man, her husband threw a drink in her face in Waffle House. Now, you think that's okay to throw a drink in your wife's face? I don't want to date nobody that thinks crazy behaviors. And mind you, that's far-fetched. What is far-fetched to me, but probably norm for some people. But I think, one, the mental capacity, making sure somebody's in the right space to be dating. Sometimes people, you in a relationship, you got all that going on. Like, don't you think your attention should be over here?
And if I ask you what work you doing, sorry, general, we're not going to make it personal. Yes. Because I feel like I've asked some friends, and I have one guy friend in particular, and we go back and forth about that. And he would see this episode and literally call me and be like, and I do. This idea of I'm working on myself is solitude. There are layers to healing. Is a journey. Part of that journey is solitude, but that's not the only piece. So there's really work that has to be done. You can't say you're ready for something just because you took a time out from it. It don't work like that. Yeah. Because that thing has evolved. So now you come back into it from a time out, and it's like, oh snap, not only am I not ready for the triggers of what happened in the past, I'm not ready for the newness that this person brings, because I didn't even see that coming.
Absolutely.
And that goes into what you were saying about ready to date and these other things, because especially knowing what we're talking about in terms of how these things show up in relationships and things that both of us have seen in the past. If this person is not taking care of their mental health in therapy, even taking care of their mental health, doing those check-ins, even in spirituality, how is that person going to be a mirror to you that reflects all your insecurities?
And we could stop right there in real life, because ultimately that's all big facts. And I don't think people for damn sure ain't thinking that deep about it. It's just like these days, I feel like therapy is not thrown around, it's out there more. Yeah. So people are asking, are you in therapy? And I'm not saying you got to sit down and ask them, dissect like what they working on in therapy, but it's kind of like it stops there. It's like, what's their emotional capacity? What's their or do they have empathy? Because I've dealt with that in relationships. Now I feel like getting enough empathy, understanding, and compassion when I'm addressing things. I just talked about this on my breaking generational curses episode a couple weeks ago. And I said I want to be met with empathy, compassion, and understanding, because I feel like in relationships, if I'm doing something and I didn't hurt somebody, I wasn't disrespectful or wasn't unprofessional, just was a situation that you didn't care for, you would have liked to have looked differently. I need for you to approach me that way so we can have a conversation about it, and lead with grace, because that's what I'm going to give you. And if you are able to do that, it allows me to say, okay, yeah, I see your side. I can work on that. Or it leads me to be like, I see your side and I'm going to still do it that way.
So those are three big things in a relationship that are components of, but are not equal to emotional safety in a relationship.
Okay.
And so when we talk about even people bringing in insecurities, what is the language that you're telling this person that you need? I need emotional safety. I need that empathy. I need compassion. This person understanding those things, but not having the context of how to put them into action in a relationship with you. So therefore, then you get gaslighting and all these other things, because this person is telling you they understand. They're giving you language that says yes, they understand, but you're worried about and trying to figure out, am I not able to be loved because this person's not giving me what they're telling me they understand?
And what it turns out to be is, I found in that situation, is like, ultimately, if you cannot meet me at that place and your first notion is always to like, the relationship needs to end, or you want to be dismissive of me, then I can't be with somebody like that, because I have to, it's right, I didn't even think about the fact of emotional safety and how that being provided is within those things I just said, that compassion, understanding, and grace. If I cannot get that from you, because I'm human, I'm going to make mistakes. As one of my friends said on one of the shows, she said, I'm going to give you a reason to want to leave. It's going to be some stuff that's going to happen to make you want to leave. I know this is a safe space, and I'm not saying I'm doing something crazy like out here cheating on you or trying to put my hands on you or nothing like that. But I could just do something that you feel like, again, just could have been handled differently. You know, I'll give, look, the Patreon keep coming back. I'm gonna keep saying it so y'all know. Had a situation where with a relationship, interaction with a family member that they felt should have gone differently. Did not go bad, did not disrespect the person, was not hurtful, I ain't curse them out, put my hands on, do nothing. But you feel like it could have been a better interaction. I'll just leave it at that. You and was pissed about it. One, we talk about bandwidth and temperament, because that's another part of this. What's the mental and emotion too? What's your temperament and your bandwidth on certain stuff? Because you at a level 10 about this, and I'm at a level 2. I'm really like a negative, because I ain't really bothered by this at all. But you about to have me up in arms because you mad about it, and now you lashing out at me, when it really could be a situation of like, I think, you know, next interaction I would like to see this. And again, gives me a chance to say okay, or give me a chance to say okay, and I'm not gonna do nothing different. And we gotta roll with that.
In terms of being specific about this, I think something that's important for the people to know is, in all these pillars, going back to finances, spirituality, all of that, and specifically this piece around mental health. Where do you want them to be on the journey? Are they somebody that's going into therapy? Are they somebody that's already in therapy? Have they been through therapy and maybe learning what it means to check in with themselves? And the reason I say that is because, once again, just like in relationships, the life lessons you've had may not equate to the life lessons somebody else has had. So when you show up in the relationship and y'all bring those together, that may be one of the pieces of the equation that determines whether you stay or you go. When someone's coming into therapy and just starting to learn language around who they are and different things, that could possibly be a trigger for you, because as they're learning and growing and need to be around people who are able to accept that and help them grow, them learning and unlearning who they are to learn again, or unlearning things that may have been survival techniques so that they can thrive, maybe brushing against the heal version of you that knows those things are either not something that works for you or maybe a temptation for you. So that also is something to be very specific about, because especially when it's going into marriages or going into long-term relationships or different stages of life, like when your parents need to move in with you because they retired, those types of things, where that person is in the language they have to meet you with, oftentimes those go into when people say, we need to communicate better. Well, what does communication look like now? Okay, y'all talking, but the language don't look the same. This person feels like you smacking them upside the head with a dictionary every time you talk, because you've now learned these different languages that now you feel adequately describe who you are, and they haven't gotten there yet.
And look, I love when I sit in this chair and I learn as you are talking. It's happened so much in this episode, but what you were saying about where are they in their healing journey, or in just their mental health journey? Are they even on a journey?
Yeah.
Because have you started? Are you about to start? Are you in the midst of it? Do you feel like you're done with it? It makes so much sense, because even now, being in this healing space I'm in, shit irritates me when I feel like I'm at this space, and to be honest, I'm working on certain things where I'm in a certain place, and you are brushing up against me with things that it's like I don't deal with that no more. Yeah. Like I can't deal with your lack of emotional capacity. I used to, I can't no more. Yeah. So it irritates my spirit, and it takes me to you have to be aware of a person's bandwidth and what they are willing to give grace and deal with. Because I've dated people that every time something went left, they wanted to break up. I don't want to be in that space with somebody. That's not emotional safety at all. And we have to understand, for me, I know that I'm not, again, and I said this on the episode, you don't need my permission to leave. If you want to go, you can go. But the thing is, if you want to be here, you said you want to be here, I don't want to be in relationship with anybody that doesn't have the wherewithal to know that. I feel like unless it's like cheating, like I said, putting your hands on you, something egregious, something really tough that's like, we need to exit this. This is not healthy. It's not safe. That's where I want to be. I really, and I'm talking about when I get married. It's really, I believe that I believe in divorce, but I also believe that I want to be in a fight with somebody. Like, I want to give it a shot. Let's fight for this. And if it don't work, cool, peace.
Basically telling you that I believe in divorce is to let you know by no means can you think that us saying God do is you trapping me into anything.
No.
I feel like I'm going to ever be in the mental capacity if I can't leave. I
can leave. I've heard people say, I think the actor Omar Epps and his wife Keisha, he's talked about that. And the interview sounded like he had been doing a whole lot of fuck shit. And they finally got to this place. He was like, they don't believe in divorce no more. We had to fight it out. He used certain language. I'm like, yeah, you was out here doing some real fuck.
Oh, you one of them, like, if we upset, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna go sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
He
basically was like, divorce is not an option. I was like, that's wild. You're not gonna hold me hostage in a relationship.
Oh, and then the other side of that is, divorce is not an option if I do some dumb shit. But is it still accurate if the tables turn? Yeah. If Joe was to start playing, What If a Woman? Are you gonna be able to sit there and listen to it and be like, yeah, if she did all that, I would still give her the same.
Exactly. People say that when it's them, when she probably was trying to leave, and he probably put that, put the hammer down on it. But I just believe that, again, people don't need my permission to go. You can go. But I want to be with somebody that's in a good fight. And every time I accidentally step on your toe, you want to break up. Or every time stuff get a little tough. Because my thing is, to me, it is levels to in relationships and things that you doing and how they operate. What I mean by that is, I've been in a situation where people have wanted to break up with me, and unfortunately I fought for shit that I shouldn't have been fighting for. But I've been in situations where I say I've talked to a friend, and not saying a friend validated it, but literally my friends have been like, he want to break up over that shit? Like, girl, I just slapped my nigga. Like friends literally will point out, like, that's what he trying to break up with you over. And it's almost like with them saying that, again, not validation, but it's just kind of like that clarity. Like, if I'm with a nigga that was willing to break up with me over something that is this small, I would hate if something in my life happens that is this big. I know damn well you live. Because I think about even when you, like, say, become a mom and stuff, things happen. I had a coworker who told me, I'm not a coworker, a friend, her husband's home. Her son jumped from the goddamn second floor balcony because she say, they thought he was Superman, I guess. And he was okay. But said his little brother was like, Mama, I tried to stop him. She said, so he done jumped down. Thank God, only thing he did was break his arm. But my thing, I think about stuff like that. If I'm dealing with a nigga that this little stuff piss you off, and I call you at work and say, little Johnny broke his arm because he jumped off the damn second floor banister, you probably gonna be ready to knock my head between washing and drying.
It's why you let
It's my fault. Why you let? Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to have a leash on him at all times. That he was being a kid, unfortunately, but again, thank goodness the child was okay. But I just think about that capacity with parents and kids and things that happen in life. It's always going to be like, you always on my ass about something. And that's not freedom, safety, or none of that to me.
We're not going to make this a whole episode, y'all, I promise. Or at least we're not going to take up that much
time. Yeah, we gonna make this another episode. I'm going to star.
Because
I put a new episode alert.
The other piece of that is we did a whole episode talking about maternal mortality.
Yeah.
As a Black woman, preparing your body alone to give birth and being able to have those conversations, I know that's going to be a piece of a relationship conversation for me with my significant other. If he not in therapy, how you gonna be able to handle me talking to you about my fears about something that you think traditionally is supposed to just happen?
Child, I could run through this room right now. You just made me have a thought about a man. I've had men challenge. I don't have kids, y'all know this. I've had men challenge me in a sense of like, they don't think I'll be a good mom. It's been that bad. And it's like, that's wild. And because I've been brave enough to straight up ask, so you don't think I'll be a good mom? That ain't what I'm saying. That's exactly what the fuck you said. Out of all them 10 things you just named about this situation that we talking about, that's exactly what you are saying to me. And I don't care if you want to lie to my face and say it ain't. But guess what? Again, that I don't feel safe here.
And then the piece you said around you don't have to ask permission to leave.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask permission to leave, and I shouldn't be in a position either where I feel like I'm having to ask permission or give you a green light on your own emotions for me to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I should be able to leave when I know I need to leave without being stuck because I'm waiting till you get to the point where you're not gonna fall apart.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm more worried about you, but fuck you. So like,
and then the other piece of that is talking to friends. Also, where are we on a journey where if something happens in our relationship, we're at the point of growth where you know who to talk to. Like I said,
you got friends for different things.
Yeah,
you know?
And where I've been, like I said, you asked me before this podcast began when we were doing our life updates, and you said, did therapy help me with some life situations that have happened? And I said yes, because my therapist was there for me to process those steps and actually tell me that's not a trauma response. Mm-hmm. That's actually healthy.
Because we be walking around here thinking,
dang, like I done been triggered. Like I'm really taking out old stuff on
with
this person.
I had a good talk with a girlfriend. Talked about. She said a lot of times with situations we'll say a certain situation, we stay in it, and we tend to do all this. Well, I need to stick around. I'm trying to run because it's a trauma response. I'm trying to do this. No, but you need to run because it's unhealthy.
looking like Kavia, like
yeah.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, so that, and like you said, even talking to friends, but then being able to challenge friends in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there are things we come into and we tell our friends and we really just listen to their response and don't have anything to challenge it because we don't even know how we feel about it yet. Mm-hmm. And all of this, y'all, goes into the mental health piece because it also goes into the emotions. But also the idea, like I said, knowing where you are so that you can determine what you want from a partner. Because once again, we're talking about who you're looking for. And when people are like, basically, there are certain areas in a relationship you can't fake it till you make it. Because faking it, the fake is going to get called out. Yeah. And it will actually lead to you being so uncomfortable. You leave something that may have been good because you basically were trying to graduate before it was time. Yeah,
you fake it till you make it. That phony, it's going to be uncovered soon enough. Because I done been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Well, I done seen the fake and phony show up. So, that said, we are going to have another... We're going to have to pull up again. Yeah. We're going to pull up again and get back to this. But I want to say this has been awesome. And I'll ask you, have any closing thoughts? If you had the listeners, viewers, got to take away one thing, what would it be?
In a season of determining what you want in a partner, get comfortable with determining who you are and establishing who you want to be. Because essentially, what I am learning is that sorry, y'all. Emotions. What I am learning is that when we talk about loving yourself, it's about getting to know who you are, getting to understand what brings you joy, getting to know what makes you upset, but also healing those pieces of you, like healing your inner child, so that generations don't have to do that work, but also so that the partner you're with does not have to do that work for you. And so when we talk about what you want in a partner, all these things, oftentimes the significant piece that's missing is you are looking for someone based on either who you are or who you desire to be. And if you don't know that, those are those situations that often create times when we wake up one day and it's like, who is this person I'm laying next to? It's the love of your life, but it's the love of your life for the person that you were, and you've grown now, and that's not who you are.
And bye, y'all. Because the word she just gave, running back. Thank y'all for tuning in. Signing off, yours truly.